Thanks, Lauren.
Thanks, Lauren.
Thanks, Lauren.
Maddie's poop is now
Blue.
green.
It would be green, Caleb.
Oh, I didn't realize that blue and
It's
brown
not,
made
though.
green.
Mine's good. I poop so much it doesn't have time to settle into
What
insides.
What do you have inside of this Sprite jar?
Ocean water Sonic drink packets, which is like coconut flavored.
Mm-hmm.
So I mix it with the Sprite because of Lauren Mahaffey.
Because
And
it's ocean water from
Sonic.
Sonic. Yeah.
So
From
good.
the ocean.
No, it does
No.
not salty,
What's up,
but
everybody?
it does stain.
It's bubbly.
Podcast time?
It stained me bad.
Stained your fingers.
Oh, it was bad.
Yeah, I remember.
Because I remember pouring the packet in.
And it got
And-
wet.
No, and it had like this chemical reaction. It just started blowing up.
Foaming.
I didn't like shake
Oh,
it or anything
no.
yet, and it went everywhere.
Sometimes I watch my face during the podcast as people are talking and me looking at them, and I think to myself, is that how I look at people whenever they're talking? Like,
Yes.
just then, I thought to myself, I bet I'm giving her one of those faces.
Baby, you always give faces.
What?
Looks could kill.
Hey, so today, last week, if you watched podcast last week, Johnny was in a mood last week.
Yes,
You watched it.
I did.
You did not watch it.
No.
Johnny just called everybody pagans and...
The comments are hilarious. Did you go back and read the
Yes.
comments?
Yeah. So if you didn't watch last week's, you should totally go back and watch last week's.
We encourage
Well,
you to.
today, Johnny decides he wants to, at lunchtime, instead of going through the order and finding out, hey, what's up, podcast time?
What's going on?
We're just talking about how last week you were on a whole nother level.
During the podcast.
Anything you want to say to the people this week?
I'm not wearing black underwear.
He's not wearing black underwear this week. Let's go, boy.
But he did eat somebody else's sandwich this week.
We are in here. We're recording.
This is live.
This is live. I'll call you back. I just want to make
Johnny,
sure.
why did you
I
eat
just wanna-
somebody else's sandwich today?
I just want to make sure you were in a mood.
Because I wasn't given my food.
Oh.
All right. So, Johnny is now officially
Sandwich.
notorious in this.
Now
I
he
think-
is now.
I
now
think
it is.
when you do it once, it's an accident.
It's
The
like a
two
mistake, yeah.
times.
Two-time, you're notorious for this.
Yeah.
So, today, Johnny gets the
What?
meals come in. Christy orders everybody lunch, and did you go pick it up, or they
I delivered it.
you got it delivered here? And I wasn't in there at the time, but Maddie was.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And Johnny just rips into a sandwich and starts eating it.
Makes
Yeah.
sense to
Not
me.
a sandwich he ordered.
Nope.
Not really even in the same category. One
No, one was in a paper
one's
bag.
in a paper
and
bag, one's in a box.
Clamshell.
And
Both-
Johnny just rips into it and starts eating it.
Both spicy sandwiches, but very different in
Yes.
toppings.
And so
He got mad at
Carson
Christy
says,
'cause- well, first he gets mad at Christy because he said that she ordered his sandwich wrong.
he just assumed that I
He
ordered
just
it
assumed
wrong.
He ordered his
So,
sandwich wrong.
so that's why he ate it.
"Oh,
That
that's
was his
so
excuse.
great!"
I was like,
no.
So he
I've made mistakes.
rips into a sandwich, starts eating it, gets mad at Christy for ordering his sandwich
Not
wrong.
like mad, but
Right.
was, you
Like-
know.
That was a
"Man,
quick.
Christy,
Liz,
you were supposed to
Christy."
have
Yeah.
pickles
Yeah.
on this or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then Carson gets in, and Carson has ordered what Johnny is eating.
Yes.
Yep.
Carson's meal is not there.
Right.
Carson says, "Oh no, they forgot mine."
Yes.
Yes.
And y'all
I
say
am Googling the Seaboard Chick-fil-A
To call
number
them
to
and
call
say,
them and say,
"Hey."
you guys screwed up. When really, Johnny
Johnny
screwed
ate
up.
a sandwich.
Johnny was just hungry and ate his sandwich. Yeah.
Impatient, not hungry.
Yeah.
But
Impatient this time.
This is the
It's the
second
second
time.
time he's
So
done
let's
this.
tell the first story.
Okay.
First story is
You're just
This
moving
is
in
the
here.
day
we sign papers to move in here.
Yes.
Yes.
We are coming back from autographing closing.
Yes.
And we text the people that are here and say to them, "Hey, we're stopping by Chick-fil-A to pick something up. We'll be there in 10 minutes. What do y'all want?" And so we got this big long order. We go to Chick-fil-A. We order
Me
the
and Christy
food,
checked through everything.
checked through
Yeah.
everything,
Did
made sure
both-
everything was
all
there.
bags.
And we even ordered extra meal. We always do.
Always order an extra meal.
Never know.
Chick-fil-A is notorious.
Normally
for
when you order big meals,
less
it's
fries
often-
and miss a meal.
So we check
They
through the
shrink,
meals. We
apparently.
get
They
here.
shrink.
We get here. We sit down. Everybody's eating.
Mhm.
All of a sudden, Scott comes walking in.
Yes.
Scott has ordered a meal with us, and Maddie says, "Yeah, Scott, it's right here." So Scott's looking around for his meal, can't find it, and Maddie's like, I went through the meals. I know they're here.
Yes.
And Johnny.
It was a sandwich.
It was a sandwich.
Yes.
And Johnny has a second Chick-fil-A sandwich that he's eating. Now, Johnny's a part of like the group text that we're saying, hey, we're going to order a meal. Johnny has a second Chick-fil-A sandwich that he's eating.
Yes.
Yep.
And he just says, oops, I think I just ate it. I'll go get you another one. And he gets up and starts walking out.
He leaves.
Of course, it was a huge, hilarious moment. We all laughed really hard. And we said to him, why did you think that was yours? You already ate one. Why would you think that you could just eat a second sandwich?
Yeah, like a
And
bro,
he
what
said,
happened?
I thought Christy might have ordered me too.
It's always me messing up. One
So-
way or the other, it's always me.
So, do you normally order him 2 Chick-fil-A sandwiches when you go?
I have never. I've never. It must be something with food because the whole Disney thing and the water and why would you buy me a $7 bottle of water? I'm like, I thought in this 9,000 degree heat you needed water. I thought you would want one. I'm sorry.
Why did he feel the need to tell everybody that he had black underwear on last week?
I'm honestly not sure. I was very embarrassed. I honestly turned the volume down when I was listening to it alone in my house. I was like, that's so embarrassing. Why did he say that? I hate it
Caleb
so
mute him.
bad.
I was like, Caleb, mute him, hurry. I don't know what he's going to say.
Let them say it.
Sometimes Johnny gets in,
Yanni.
he gets in Yanni moods where he's like grumpy, but then sometimes he gets in, they named this one Gawny, I guess, where he's
He's
just gone. He is just hilarious and
must have been
goofy
tired.
Super
and
goofy.
tired and just does some stupid stuff.
Stroller
And-
Cammy.
Yes,
Yeah,
like came in
yeah.
at Disney really late after 14
Stroller.
miles of walking.
Yeah, I get that way late at night when I know I have to push through and stay awake rather than late at night where I'm like, I'm tired, I'm exhausted, like youth camp moments where I'm just like, oh, I got to push through. I got to stay hype. I get that way in moments like that. Maddie gets that way in moments where she is
Not at night.
not at night. No, not at night. She's ready for
I'm
bed
ready
at night.
for bed at
Maddie is
9:30.
that way in. I mean, yours are really random when you get that way.
Just depends on how I'm feeling.
How you feeling that day?
Yeah.
You getting goofy moods, Christy?
Yes. Mine usually come late at night too. Like when I'm
Montana, Chris.
absolutely exhausted. And there's like zero control left.
Caleb, you getting goofy moods?
Yeah, about 6 a.m. to 6 a.m. the next day.
You like the
Stays
Incredible Hulk? Like I don't have to get angry. I stay angry. You're like I don't have to get goofy mood.
Like,
I
when y'all
stay in a
think
goofy
I
mood.
jokingly trip down the stairs. Nope, it's a real thing.
That's real.
Stay goofy, brothers
Stay goofy.
and sisters.
You know what? Like speaking of Montana and how amazing opportunities in life have been for us. God has been so incredibly good to our life, our families, from us whenever I always talk about like Cammie during starting point. I talk about how Cammie at 6 weeks old, bronchiolitis, pneumonia, RSV on top of each other in intensive care and MUSC. Terrible season in our life, and now we look at her every day, and if we're not careful, we take for granted almost accidentally take for granted what God did for us during that season. And I think of JD3 a lot, where he is such a miracle. And yesterday, Joel Arwood came by, and I had JD3, and we were talking, and Johnny said something about, he's a miracle, he shouldn't be here. And it was just a very nonchalant comment. We just passed on, no big deal. Nobody stopped to celebrate the goodness of God. And I thought to myself, like, that's a lot of people's stories that we shouldn't be here, but like his is a little bit different.
Yeah, has a lot more details in there. That's just like to sum it up, I guess.
Yeah, his is a little bit different, and
Yeah.
we've went over this in podcasts before where you've kind of told his whole story. He's doing phenomenal. He's just crushing everything. He's amazing.
Why is he not on the podcast today?
Because
Oh, I
he
should've
tried to
brought
rip
him.
up the podcast room last time he was on it. He was like,
I haven't made it through a podcast yet, so I was like, now's the chance. Now's the time.
But if we're not careful, we bypass, or maybe, I don't know, maybe we just get comfortable with the miracle that God has done, and I'm sure there's other areas of our life. Those are two, obviously personal for us and personal for you. How do we keep what God did in JD3's life? How do we keep that on the forefront of our mind and not allow it to just become, oh, yeah, remember when you were little and you almost died?
Yeah.
That's hard.
It is hard just to continually talk about it and to make it a part of a story. Like we have one of the things that we started doing when he was real little is every month we order like a book of pictures that basically tells his story. So every month he gets a new book. He doesn't know about it yet, but it's something cool that when family comes over or whoever comes over can look through them. But also I did that so he could see like, hey, here's month 1, like how happy we were with you. And then month 2 in July, look at all these pictures. There's a lot of medical things in here. And that way we can tell a story based on pictures. I don't know.
That's
It's
cool.
going to be hard because he's young, but I still want him to know, like, you could have been in a wheelchair. You could have needed assistance, like,
You could have
breathing.
not been here.
Yeah, you could have not been here altogether. So it's going to be definitely a hard road to kind of unpack with him, but also I want him to know the miracle that he is,
Mhm.
you know, so that, I mean, I know one day he's going to tell his story. You know, I didn't even know yet, but this is what God did in me. And it's a part of his testimony that God already started before he even got here. So,
Yeah, and like for me, I remember his 6-month-old, whatever day you posted. Oh, he's 6 months old today, and I got kind of emotional with that. And I'm like, that first day we Googled, we thought
yeah,
he may not make it to 6 months old.
yeah, yeah. Like that's the worst type. Yeah, I know. It's crazy to think about. And I will never forget, like there's some things from his story that are just burned into my memory. I'm sure you guys have that with Cammie too, like just certain, and it's random things that pop out. I'll never forget the first day that we went to the hospital. It was a week after he was born, and they laid him on the table. And I mean, he's like perfect. To me, he's like this perfect little baby that we had just birthed. You know, I'm trying to heal myself, and it just was so many emotions. And I can remember thinking, don't cry, it's going to be okay. But the whole time you have like the lump in your throat wanting to just burst out. But they laid him on the table, and she grabbed his little arms, and he was so tiny, but she grabbed his little arms and she just lifted him up, and his head kind of, you know, elevated a little bit off the table. And she was like, okay, that's good. And I thought to myself, wait, even she, like you'd hear it almost in her voice, like she's checking to make sure he had enough muscle strength already at birth so that we could have a different conversation. Like the conversation almost, I could see the pivotal moment. Like I can go back to that moment, and I'm getting chills just thinking about it. I remember her doing that and thinking, what in the world is she doing? And then later reading about it and thinking, I could hear her sigh of relief. Like, okay, this is a different conversation, because at that point they only had the blood work that was, you know, from the newborn screening. They were going to do a whole new panel that day. But they wanted to do like some physical movement tests with him first. And it was crazy to like lay him on the table and just to lift him up just to see if he could somewhat, I mean, infants at that age, you know, newborns don't have great obviously head control yet, but she was checking to make sure that he could actually lift his head up, and would he need support like breathing or eating.
Wow. Do you have a moment like that with Cammie that you just remember, like, hey, I remember this moment during that time? Good or bad, doesn't matter.
I think I've tried to block the bad out
Yeah.
because it was traumatizing for me.
For sure.
And even just trying to talk about it brings up things that I don't, you know, I don't like talking about it.
Sure.
I can remember the first time she smiled,
Totally remember that moment.
laying in the bed, and she smiled at us. I remember all the bad stuff, which I don't like the IVs coming out of her head and her hooked up to so many monitors and tubes everywhere. Like, I remember that, or driving behind the, ambulance when they transferred her to MUSC, thinking she may not make it because, it was Walkma at the time, but they couldn't handle the seriousness of the case because the thing.
And we watched her literally turning blue at Walkmall. They panicked. They rushed Maddie and her mom out. I had just had a outpatient surgery. So I was in the corner watching
Sick as a
them,
dog.
sick as a dog
Throwing up
from
from the medicine.
from pain medication,
He
watching
couldn't move.
Cammie go through this.
And I left.
And-
I just left.
And after that, from that moment, they were like, we have to transfer her to MUSC. We can't handle her here. So they transfer her to MUSC, put her on an ambulance. We couldn't ride with her.
One of us could have, but you couldn't drive because you were so sick.
Right, that's what it was. I remember. That's
so
what it
much
was.
going on.
One of
My
us
goodness.
could have rode with her, but I couldn't drive because I was sick, throwing up, world spinning. I don't do well with pain medication. And so, anyways, we are following an ambulance to Charleston with our 6-week-old baby,
Who was a month born
premature, right? So she's
she
literally
really
like
is
a
only
like a newborn baby,
2 weeks old,
and-
and she would have
and
came out of the
having conversations, even about anxiety. I remember the conversation about anxiety because the doctor,
My OB was actually there during the appointment.
yeah,
Like, she was on call, and she was there, and she came and checked on me because she heard about it, and that was my first
yeah, she was like, hey,
prescription. Here, just take this for a couple days to calm you down.
Yeah.
Because I could remember not being able to, like, I was hyperventilating. I was like,
Function.
we didn't understand what was happening at the time.
no. I
To,
was like,
you, even inside of you, we didn't
Right.
understand what was happening at the time.
No.
And now looking back, you're like, wow, okay,
That was my
maybe
first
that's
panic
another
attack.
moment that it was starting, you know?
Yeah.
And so, but again, I do remember that process, and I will never forget. I can see where I was, where you were, where the baby was, Cammie was. I can see that moment where she looked up at us, and it was just us two in the room. It was a Sunday, and she just looked up at us for the first time, probably in her life. I don't know. Looked up at us and smiled,
Yeah.
and Maddie and I both just wept and had a moment of, rejoicing and celebration. And it was like within it felt like hours they had taken this out of her, and then like hours they had taken this, and it was just like a quick recovery after that moment. And it was really amazing.
Yeah.
Really cool.
Yeah. It's just one of those things. Like, you even get to the hospital, and you can't even go in and see her because they're assessing her and hooking her up. And I remember us sitting in the NICU waiting room, just us two, like super late, middle of the night.
And we're 25, 26 years old.
I was 25. Yeah, you were 26. And, like, not knowing hadn't heard from the doctor. Like, literally we're there, and we're like, we don't know where to go. We don't know what to do. Where's our newborn? Like,
And you also had 2 at home.
Two at home.
2 young
Yeah.
ones at home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That we
and
had to
Worried
figure
about
out.
that and
And
I
we're
can't
sitting there
imagine.
in a NICU waiting room, and the lady from, I remember this. This is emotional. I remember this. The lady from the Ronald McDonald House came into the waiting room, and she asked if we wanted a place,
Yeah.
and we both were like, "We're not going to be here that long. We're not leaving this place. We're going to see our daughter, and we're not going to be here that long." And so, but I just remember that moment of, wow, this is life for so many other people where they live in hospitals and have to stay in Ronald McDonald houses. And thank you for all of those people who support those those ministries, because that's amazing. It was incredible just to have the offer of a warm bed. We weren't leaving until we saw Cammie, so But again, 25, 26 years old, trying to figure this out. We were babies trying to walk this out with our baby. And then I remember going into the ICU that night, finally.
It was that morning.
Well, it was morning. It was the same stretch. We hadn't been to sleep yet.
Right.
It was
It
that
was morning.
same.
I can remember
It
it
was
was
morning, but it was still.
It was
We were
almost
still.
trying to be
Yeah,
up.
we were still trying to see her. And so I remember walking in, and the ICU nurse was just such a. I have no clue who the woman is. Such a person of peace, and just spoke such peace over her. She's gonna be okay.
Good.
She's gonna be good.
She
We've
didn't
taken
have that IV in her head
right.
anymore.
They took the IV out of
It
her
was in
head,
foot.
put her in her foot. We're gonna do this. Here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna leave her here. We're gonna do it. And it was like, oh, okay. This feels so much better than what
It
we
was-
just felt over the last.
Yeah, it was then where it was
20
like
hours.
she's going to make it.
Yeah.
Like, luckily, our pediatrician who was great. She still is great. She's not our pediatrician anymore because
Because they
our
all
kids are
grown
old
now.
and they're out. But she was the one that was like, I think you need to go. I think we need to transfer her to MUSC because this hospital can't handle the care that she needs. So that's kind of scary. I mean, you had to take your kid to MUSC to handle everything too.
Yeah.
So like, it's just weird to be like, you're at a hospital. Why can't you handle it? And then they're like, well, we don't have that capability. And you're like, but you're a hospital. You're supposed to have that capability.
Even so we walk away from that. Cammie's good. She gets released. Everybody's telling us, wonder what that bill's going to be. Can you imagine what that bill's going to be?
We saw it.
So the story of our life is, of course, Cammie is born. I forgot what it was, a month after Cammie's born to put her on my insurance.
Yeah, it was some.
It's like 30 days or something.
I
now.
did not.
He did not.
Day 32, I try to put her on, and they say, oh, you've got to wait till the beginning of the year. So we have no insurance on Cammie during this time. We have great insurance. We have no insurance on Cammie during this time.
We're like, oh, she'll be fine.
Yep. And
we have like 6 weeks. It's fine.
And everybody kept saying, I wonder what that bill's going to be. Wonder what that bill's going to be. So we got the bills started rolling in whenever we got home. And it's not the miracle that you experienced, but to us, it was even more of a miracle than what you experienced. I think total it was like $100,000 or something like that, $180,000.
I think it was like 180.
$180,000 worth of bills. And
$20 a month. Here you go.
we told them,
For
we're
the
like,
rest
hey,
of our
listen,
life.
we can't afford this. And somebody gave us some wisdom. You know, they're like, pay $20 a month, just to keep it out of collections, pay $20 a month. And so we did that for a few months. And then they called us and they were like, hey, we have a grant that has
Fill this out.
that has taken care of all of your medical bills. So $180,000 wiped away like that.
That was a miracle.
Yeah.
Miracle.
That is a miracle.
Yeah.
And so now here we are. We are, we'll say 16 years away from that moment. You are 6 months away from your miracle. And
9.
8.
8.
Okay. Well, I mean, you still went through the process.
Yeah.
There was he was just 8 months, right?
Yeah.
He's
just turned 9 months.
just turned 9
He was
months.
in the
9
bubble
months,
for
yeah.
a few months.
Yeah. So you were still walking out that miracle during a few of those first few months. So 6 months, 16 years, and if we're not careful, the goodness of God that we sung about over JD3, before we knew JD3's outcome, when y'all were up in a bubble and we had no clue, and we were declaring that goodness and mercy was going to follow him all the days of his life. Your goodness is running after JD3.
Yeah.
We were declaring that over his life at 2 months old without knowing where he is today. And if we're not careful, months pass and years pass and a decade passes, and we tell stories almost from a place of, man, that was a cool story.
Mm-hmm.
Rather than where we have been at times, even with JD3 and with Cammie, where it was almost the awe of God that this happened. I remember when that bill got wiped away, almost the awe of God, like weeping and thinking, God, I cannot believe you just did that for us.
Mm.
That is an absolute miracle that you did that for us. And maybe this is resonating with some people out there, because there's things in your life that were in the moment absolute miracles that now looking back on almost become a story that we tell without the awe attached to it.
I mean, I think we just passed Easter, and the same thing can happen for that too, We forget like what God has truly done for us, but then we forget the little things he's done along the way. Kind of like the children of Israel. I mean, they had this roller coaster of of like emotions attached to like how they worshiped God, and oh God, we forgot what you did for us, last season, but here we are needing you again, and it was just this up and down constant.
Even inside of our relationships,
Mm-hmm.
where the awe attached to Maddie, if I don't fight to keep the awe,
Mm-hmm.
I can lose it. I see so many couples that lose that. I fight to show my kids that I am still in awe. Carson showed me a picture the other day. We were yesterday. I don't remember where we were together yesterday, and she was showing me pictures, and she showed me a picture, and Maddie was in it, and I was like, man, she is so beautiful, isn't she? And every time I see a picture of her or see her or she walks into the room, I am in awe that God gave me her. And if I'm not careful, and other people out there, again, if you're not careful, you begin to take your spouse for granted.
Mm-hmm.
You begin to forget what an incredible gift this person is. Caleb right now is madly in love with Reagan. Like, she could do no wrong. She can say the same things I say. I have raised him, fed him. I am the one that has, obviously Maddie, I'm saying but we are the ones who have gotten him to the place that he is right now in life. And I could say to him, Caleb, you need to spend less time on Instagram. I'm sure that's what he's doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And Reagan could say, Caleb, you need to spend less time on Instagram.
Yes, ma'am.
And because he's in awe of Reagan,
Mm-hmm.
he says, yes, ma'am, and puts down his phone, because he's at a place to where, I don't mean this in a bad way, but where we almost take things for granted. He almost has taken dad for granted because he's so used to this dad that it becomes, almost a roll of the eyes and, here's dad again. And so I think this is what we do so often in so many areas of our life. We take the goodness of God and what he's done for us, then we get into times of worship and we're like, I don't really have anything to worship for today. I don't really have anything to be thankful for today, or whatever the situation is. There's just so many moments in our life where we stop being in awe of who God is and what he's done for us, in us, through us, with us. And hopefully maybe this sparks some thoughts and some conversations inside of us. Because there was a time where you were madly in love with Johnny.
Mm-hmm.
And if Johnny complained about a sandwich, it would have been no big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But we get to a place with again, spouses, our relationship with God, miracles that God has done, where now because the baby kept you up a little too late last night, because you're a little tense and you're a little, whatever it is, work's got you overwhelmed and all of the things piling up, that moment you just want to punch him in his throat for fussing at you, for ordering the wrong sandwich for him.
She did not.
I did.
No. I'm just saying that's where life gets us to.
Mm-hmm.
Where instead of there was a time where we looked at God and thought, I cannot believe you saved me. Like, I understand that's what you do. I cannot believe you did that for me.
Mm-hmm.
And we get in awe of who he is and what he's done. And if we're not careful, especially, again, Easter season's a great one. We take communion on Good Friday and we think about the sacrifice and what he did for us, and it makes me emotional. And people, crackle me for being emotional all the time, for crying all the time. Like, I don't cry about getting hurt. I don't cry about, like, ow, I tore my rotator cuff, Cammie. Cammie roughed me up. I don't cry about stuff like that. I cry about the goodness of God and being in awe of the fact that God would bless my life, my family, this ministry, my marriage the way that he has. I'm so in awe of the stuff that he is working and doing, and it's like it just blows me away. It blows me away. And so I just want to encourage all of you out there, you two, Caleb, everybody else watching, like don't ever forget, don't ever lose the wonder, the awe of what God has done for you, because both of you have really incredible testimonies.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, I don't want to talk about them. Really incredible testimonies. But it doesn't matter what your testimony is. Every one of us were sinners bound for hell that needed a Savior to wash us clean. And anyways, I just think about the goodness of God. I think about so many moments in my life where God has been so incredibly faithful and blown us away at the miracles that he's done for our life. And I don't want to forget those.
No, never. That's what I was trying to say.
Because if we forget them, we start focusing on what's happening in the now and the potential of what could happen in the future, rather than focusing on this is what God has done. This is who he is. This is what he will do in the future. Right? If we forget about the past, then it warps our view of the future.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, I just think about y'all's story and how, like, you think, okay, maybe that's old news. You know, we're grateful for it. I wasn't around, obviously, when that happened. But I look back at that, and that brings me hope for JD3's story. So hearing that, all that she went through, there were, like, no residual effects from that have been, like, detrimental to her development or anything, makes me think, like, well, I mean, she's incredible.
Spoiled.
I mean, well, besides that, but I mean, I would have spoiled a baby that went through all of what she went through too.
And you
know?
are spoiling JD3
Absolutely
because of
yeah.
you don't even realize it, but because of his diagnosis, you are
Yeah.
spoiling him.
Mm-hmm.
The kid
Yeah.
says, "Ma," and
We all
gets
jump together.
scooped. Everybody, not y'all.
Yeah.
Everybody scoops
You're
him.
like, no, don't make
He
him
don't.
cry.
He don't need to cry. He don't want for nothing around
Nothing.
here.
Yeah.
He's spoiled right.
You guys taught me to spoil my child.
Absolutely.
But it does. It brings hope to know that, you know, there may have been something wrong, and there may, you know, be doctor's appointments we still have to go to, and maybe Cammie hasn't had the best health her whole life, but she's good, you know, and I have that hope that Cammie was good, JD3 is going to be good.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. She's good. Mm-hmm.
What do you think the story of JD3 will eventually be?
I don't know. I have no idea. Well, I don't want to spoil it, but we have a good theme picked out, I feel like, for his birthday, for his 1 year. And he won't know, but I feel like it's just going to be a testament to, hey, wherever the Lord takes you, whatever you do, do it all for
Because
his
Johnny
glory.
prophesied.
He's gonna be a missionary.
He did.
I say he prophesied. Listen, I won't say he prophesied, but he was very spiritual and serious in the moment when he spoke over. I was holding him over him in my arms, and you know, very serious and spiritual. Said he's going to be a missionary, and he's going to take the missionary heart of his mama and the knowledge of the word of his daddy, and God's going to combine those two, and he's going to be an incredible missionary.
Don't make me cry.
Mom,
I just
I'm
wanna
glad
be
you
able-
never said that about me.
I just want him to, the thing we pray over him every single night before he lays his head down. Johnny's always prayed it since, I mean, he was born, literally every single night, is I pray that he continues to be sensitive to the Holy Spirit.
Yep.
And so we pray that every night. And I mean, we are trying our best, you know, to raise him to know who Jesus is. We say Jesus a million times every night to try and get him to say it. And then we're reading in Bible stories. You know, like this week we're reading through the children's Bible, like the Holy Week. You know, we've gone through everything this week just as if, I mean, he doesn't get it, but he's really interested when you're reading to him. He like wants to watch your face as you're reading it, I guess, because it's a different cadence in your voice when you're reading something versus when you're talking. So he notices something's different about it. So he like perks up and he turns and looks at you. It's really cute. So
Like a dog.
yeah. Like, oh, did you say treat? Yeah.
I remember those days. You remember reading, especially Caleb. Caleb, again, your first one, they get the
They get the best,
best
of
of you. They really do.
The third one,
She got
the best
She got the best
because-
because she was sick, but
Poor
poor
Carson.
Carson.
Carson got
The best whenever she got past 16 because she ain't
Carson
a
is-
day in her life.
It's true.
Carson spoiled.
Daddy spoils her.
SPOILT.
I think because we're scared of her.
I am terrified of all of the girls at my house.
I'm terrified of Carson.
I'm scared of Carson.
I
deathly
fight
terrified of
Caleb
Cammie.
sheerly because he's the only one I'm not scared of.
Mom's terrifying.
She's terrifying.
And then she'll laugh at you and like kick you under the table.
And you're like, oh no, I don't.
Or when she pinches the back of your arm.
Carson got that from me.
All right, let's end this conversation here, okay?
Okay.
Obviously, you both are big Disney people.
Yeah.
Obviously, in Disney, there is, this happily ever after inside of Disney movies, and it is the theme song of the fireworks show in Magic Kingdom.
It's the name of it.
Happily ever after, something like that. So, obviously, Maddie's favorite Disney movie, Little Mermaid. Your favorite Disney movie is?
Oh, y'all are gonna laugh at this. Pocahontas. I love it.
Okay.
Colors of the Wind.
Yeah.
Caleb, your favorite Disney movie is?
Have you?
Oh, that's hard. Favorite Disney movie is probably like Toy Story's Pixar, so I'll go with Moana.
Make
Okay.
way,
I like it.
make way.
I like it. My hot take was Moana is the best Disney princess movie ever created.
And not a lot of women watch that podcast, so like nobody commented when you said that in one of them.
Thoughts?
That's what you think?
It's my hot take.
HOTTAKE. Hot take.
Hot take. Moana,
Interesting.
best Disney movie ever.
I mean, it's good.
Movie.
Top three?
I mean, Lion King is pretty good. You're talking about Disney princess movie?
Disney princess movie.
Disney
Yeah.
movies.
No, I said Disney princess.
You did say Moana was the best Disney princess.
Top three?
So Mom's gonna have the Little Mermaid at number
Beauty and
one.
the Beast is probably number one for me.
She's not a princess.
Well,
She is once she gets
I'm about to say
married.
she gotta get married, yeah.
but
Do they get married though?
Yes.
Very
There's a
end,
second
that
movie.
whole- yeah, that's true.
Okay, so top three?
Yeah, I could say that.
Probably top three.
Okay,
Moana.
so this means there's hope for the future of Disney princesses. If Moana is new, and listen, Frozen was huge as well.
Very big.
Frozen, not so much for me. I like the songs in Frozen. The actual
Storyline.
story was just it was tough. I fell asleep a few times.
That's every movie for
You
you.
fall asleep in
Easy.
Frozen every time at Hollywood Studios,
I love that show.
so you could sleep.
It is my favorite.
Me too, so I could sing
Dreaming.
loud.
And as y'all are singing loud, it's cool in there, and
You're
I
sleeping.
take a nap. I feel like every dad does that inside of some of the shows.
So does Cammie. Every
Me-
show.
Every show. She breaks her neck to sleep.
So there's hope for Disney in the future, for princesses in the future. I don't know what they'll do or who they'll fight, but there's hope for great princess movies out there if Moana is tops on the list. Favorite ride at Disney? All parks. Go.
Tower of Terror.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Guardians so good.
Guardians is good.
You know what my favorite ride is?
Yes.
Small World.
No.
Mickey's Runaway Railroad.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Figment.
No, me and Figment are
No, tell them about that.
All right, I'm gonna
Figment.
end this. I got it. We gotta go. This is
Figment.
it. We gotta go.
Figment crushed.
I'm gonna
his
tell you.
heart.
I'm gonna tell you my story of Figment. Okay, when I was little, I had a Figment. I'll call it a doll, stuffed animal, toy, whatever. That was what I brought back. My parents were really. I don't mean this. My parents were really poor, so like I only went to Disney one time when I was growing up. Uncle James and Aunt Joanna took us, and my mom tells the story. My brother got this big old Goofy, and he was 4 years older than me, so I was 5 or 6 at the time. You've seen the pictures. It's probably 5 or 6. So he was probably 9 or 10. He's 3 or 4, so maybe 8 or 9, 10, somewhere in that range. And the Goofy, I remember the Goofy. It had to be 3 foot tall. It's huge, long legs. And brought it to my brother. My brother brought it to my mom and said, "Mama, can I get this?" And it was like our last day at Disney. And she looked at my dad and she was like, there was just 4 credit cards and all that. And she was like, how much money do we have left? And, yeah, we can get it for you. And she's like, we had nothing for Jamie. Whatever he wanted, we didn't know how we were going to say yes. She said, and then I picked up this little Figment doll. And I was like, can I have this? And it was super cheap. And she's like, yes, you can have that. So anyways, we were super poor, and my brother got this big Goofy thing. I got this little Figment doll. So I So I remember Figment. That's the only Disney character I ever remember. Obviously Mickey or whatever. So anyways, I decided all my family loves Disney. We got season passes. We love Disney. And I want a favorite Disney character. And so I said I'm going to pick I went through a few of them and then decided I was going to pick Figment. And I bought a Figment shirt. Figment is the big purple dragon. I bought a Figment shirt. We go to Epcot. Figment's in Epcot. That's his where his ride is. His ride is terrible. It's awful. It is the worst ride ever.
It's pretty bad.
We go
I like it better than
Small World.
yes, and the ball.
Oh yeah.
So
Spaceship Earth.
Figment, worst ride ever. We go over to Figment just sheerly because I'm trying to hype up that I like Figment. Go hype up that I like Figment. I'm like, here we are. Oh, look, I got your T-shirt on. We're walking through. We're riding through this thing. So awesome. Afterwards, we get off, and Figment is there. Like
the one you can meet?
the one you can meet and take a picture with.
Whoa. I've never seen
So-
him.
No?
No.
So Figment is there.
We'll never see him again.
We're gonna meet him and take a picture with him. We get in line. Now in line, there's nobody in line.
Yeah, because no one's ever.
There's nobody
at
coming to see Figment. We're in line for Figment. There's only one family in front of us, so we walk through the line, get behind the family. Family takes pictures. Figment signs his card. We're like, oh, yay, we're going to take a picture with Figment. The family leaves. We come gather around Figment to take a picture with Figment. Figment says, oh, see you later. I'm out.
He peaced out.
We
He walked away with his
ready
cast
for the
member?
picture.
Cammy,
Yes!
you're on speakerphone and we're on the podcast, okay? So don't say anything. But we're on the speakerphone. Don't scream out anything of the secrets we were talking about earlier. But remember when Figment just left me there in this weird place of loving Figment? And so what did I say after that?
That he wasn't your favorite character
Nope,
anymore?
we done. We are out. We are on the outs. Me
He
and Figment.
zipped
done.
his little
I had a vest.
fleeced vest hoodie on.
Zip my vest up.
Because we went in February, and he was like, nope, no more.
Yep. I didn't want nobody to see that I
Figment.
was a Figment fan anymore.
He was so mad.
So who's your new character?
I
I
ain't-
even got
I
a
ain't decided yet.
Figment phone
Joffrey's.
cover for him.
Yeah, I told him I'm getting a
Joffrey's.
T-shirt that says Joffrey's is my favorite Disney character.
Actually, that's a good idea.
They don't make them. I've
They-
looked everywhere. We need somebody to make
This
one.
is Cammy, by the way. Cammy is the one that we've been talking about all podcast. Say hey to the people, Cammy.
Hello.
Hello, people.
So, anyways, love you guys. God bless you. Peace out. Let's go.
Let's go.
Hit here.
Hit here for the subscribe. Hit here to see the next video. Hit here for whatever's coming next. Peace.
See ya.